Adam Brancher, Kedge Proprietary Limited, based down in Tasmania. As you've obviously seen, I'm just taken over from Bertrand as president yesterday, and pretty well.
My name's Phil Duffy. I have a company called Interface Marine. We're based in the south of France. Monsieur le Président, ex-president. We do all types of work, including a lot of work on super yachts. We do valuations of super yachts and coding work, etc.
Good afternoon, my name is John Excel. My business is John Excel Marine Surveys. We're based on the south coast of England, in a small town called Emsworth. Primarily my work covers all over Europe, mainly on vessels from between sort of 12 metres to 24 metres with MCA coding, commercial work, pre-purchase surveys, insurance survey work. And I'm also, for my volunteer role, I'm chairman of Yacht and Small Craft Worldwide for the IIMS.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, Zaria, so back to the question.
Well, in true spirit of yesterday's trend, I'd say I've got two front runners and I can't make up my mind, and it's a split vote.
And they are?
One was crisis management by John Guy. I thought that was brilliant, well articulated, and it was to the point. Myself being involved in 3 large incidents, like he mentioned. I can tell you that keeping the media on your side is absolutely vital, and it makes and breaks a reputation. So he was spot on for me. And also a tie was Nipin, who spoke about where the lapses lie with the ISM code, because we go out as independents and there are more and more clients asking us as third-party independents to go there immediately or very soon after the superintendent's gone out, done an ISM audit, gone and done independent NAV audits. All this is coming up with having a bird's eye independent view to weed out problems which you were talking about, and they all the time are looking for it. So it was pressing on a nerve which is fortunately for us earning revenue, but we can see the pain in the owner's eyes. So it was spot on for me.
Adam?
Thanks. I thought all of the presentations yesterday and today were superb,
That's the
across the board. Probably in light of my early comments this morning, though, the next generation of marine surveyors probably resonated the most with me. And when you start to hear things about autonomous vehicles, or vessels rather, if we think we have a problem now, we have a serious problem in the future. And I think actually we also have a solution, or a potential solution, and I thought it was very well articulated, and certainly given me food for thought.
Peter's not listening to you, he's writing.
Very, very. That's.
He's blowing kisses to Adam.
And might I say, thanks for bringing George along. I thought that that brought out. Yeah, quite right too. Yeah. Thanks.
Phil.
From a technical point of view, I think Carol Powell's presentation on marine corrosion was
She
excellent.
speaks well, doesn't she?
Very, very good. Very interesting.
knowledgeable lady. For those of you who didn't hear her speak yesterday, she
And
knows a lot.
Mr. Guy's presentation on crisis management was very interesting. Could be taken a little bit cynical. I think he must have done his training at the Murdoch Group when it came to journalism, but it was very interesting at the same time.
And finally, John?
Yep, I also concur with Phil on Marine Alloys presentation from Carol Powell. That was absolutely fascinating, and from a technical point of view, particularly in the yacht and small craft world, with some of the corrosion issues we're faced with dissimilar metals below the waterline, that was well worth it. The other one that did interest me as well was also Nick Smith's presentation, and then today has been the future of marine surveying, and I think it was lovely to hear, as you say, George's view on the route he's come through. We are responsible for raising standards, for bringing on a new generation, and I think it's a very important subject.
Okay. let me turn the conversation to automation. I mean, there's been so much spoken about automation today. So, again, going down the line, I mean, I was going to ask a daft question in a way, because how prepared are you for all this stuff? And even at small craft level, you're dealing with this coming. I mean, I think coming across this stuff now.
Yeah, I think what was quite interesting about the technology is that we started off this morning about being put off about using electronic chart plotters and having your head in the screen, to then be followed by a presentation on drones where you've got your head in the screen. So it was kind of two opposites. I can see drone technology coming in, particularly in the larger yacht areas, for mast inspections where you don't necessarily want to put somebody aloft, or you can't put somebody aloft, or vessels are out of the water or whatever. I can very much see that in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I mean, with the if you look at some of the medium to larger super yachts that I crewed, most of the crew are in their 30s. The boats are jam-packed with the most high-tech gadgets you can get your hands on, because someone sold them to the... It's a toy, basically, so it's a toy with toys. And the young people on board are working these toys. So if you go onto something like a 50-metre super yacht that's come out of one of the Italian shipyards, the technology on board is incredible. And then you have the toys on top of that to play with.
Australia, coming the other side of the country, the trains that are running 500 miles from the mines to the loaders are all autonomous now. There's nobody sitting in the cab of those things. The dump trucks that drive, in Kalgoorlie and places like that, they're all be done by joystick back in Perth. This is upon us now. I've got an insurance claim on the go at the moment. The guy is in Mongolia. Yes, it is Mongolia. I can't get in touch with him, but the BHP development there is, from the outset, going to be all autonomous. I think what I really liked about the presentations is that we're starting to think about it now. It's 20 years downstream, and we're, dare I say, going to be at the head of the curve as it inevitably comes upon us. My prediction: it won't take 20 years for substantial size vessels to appear that are autonomous wherever they sit on that scale.
Yeah. Well, I think we are already, the autonomous ships are going to not appear from somewhere. It's going to be in stages, and we are already underway with that happening. When I started my career, Sparky, the radio officer, thought he would never be dispensable, and he's disappeared. The second mate thought that the parallel ruler is going to probably live with him forever, and he'd probably sleep under his pillow. That's gone. This is coming. So it's not going to happen overnight, but I think the process has already started. We are already dealing with claims on unmanned ports. In one of the ports in UAE, we've tended to a claim where 11 stacks of container have just collapsed like matchboxes on each other, because the computer went a little bonkers and didn't rise up and kept on moving at a certain tier and forgot there was one more tier on top and just kept on taking 11 tiers with it. It was fully automated. The RTGs in one of the ports in UAE, I wouldn't like to mention which one, there are no operators. It's all done out of a computer screen in a control room, and this is one of the newest and the largest and deepest water ports in the UAE these days. So it's all happening, I think.
So here's the $1 million question, and you probably can't answer this with any great certainty, but how prepared as an industry are we to face this change, and what as an industry do we need to do?
I think training and the industry is prepared. It's going to be prepared in steps, like you climb a tall tower or go up an elevator step by step, floor by floor. It's got to be taken that way. We know the destination. These days, everybody's talking in chorus about these. So the thought is there. The LPG fuel is out there. It's going to happen one day. We used to have coal-fired ships, and then came diesel oil and heavy oil, and now that's on its way out. So it's going to happen, but in stages. We are prepared. Training is important. Technology is important. The new generation of junior officers who are coming out, they actually are not being trained on parallel rulers. The first test to pass is like this, and then they go out and get as a backup what to do on paper charts. So it's already happening, and it's going to start with paper training to start with.
I entirely agree, and I also think that at this stage we need to understand how the diagnostics are going to be performed on these things. I suppose it's a bit like a guy training as a motor mechanic now is going to be a lot more computer literate, a lot more understanding of the computer systems that underpin these things, and I think we'll have to be on the forefront of that, and I agree entirely. We'll have to be trained.
I think if you look at the technology, it's one way of considering it. The other aspect, of course, is the loss of jobs.
Yeah.
And the backlash from that. If you look at the container industry, when that picked up in the early 80s and what was going on, and what effect it had in different areas, certainly in places like Liverpool and the south coast of England and the docklands and the ports, and the disruption that was caused. I mean, any new technology is going to have a social effect. It's usually negative from some people's point of view, but for the guy that's driving the drone or building the drone, great. But for the person that used to drive the thing, he's out of work, isn't he? So there's always going to be a different aspect.
We have a question from the audience, or a comment maybe?
Well, I mean, I have a big comment because, I mean, we're sitting right in the centre of London with all the ship owners' flags here around. I'm actually myself from the 3rd-generation Master Mariners. So, well, we've been talking yesterday that in 20 years' time there will be no practical surveyors. I have a question to the audience actually. How many of you have been to sea before? Do I have a hand up? And how many, yes, that's the majority. How many of you would say that your time at sea was a good time and you had, let's say, gained a lot of practice used in the work we do right now? Correct. So we cannot do it like a free economy. We have to make something against it. So I mean, I would say, I mean, we would have to protest about autonomous ships. I mean, not protest, but I mean, subsidize the same thing as I mean, I'm from Poland. We're strong supporters of the EU, and in the EU, the farmers are being subsidized, right? The same thing should be applicable to the maritime industry. Because if we cut out and put the electronics inside, I fully understand. Autonomous is good for example, for warfare, okay, because it includes, I mean, it's a completely different aspect. But in case of maritime, you have the practice, you see the practical things, commercial things, and I think it should be kept that the people, the man, well, we are looking, everybody has, each nation has a lot of unemployment. Why not put people, I mean, we're supposed to promote the maritime industry and not to go against it.
I think you make a really interesting point. There was something in the news, I don't know, within the last 3 or 4 months, that 11 million jobs in the UK are in jeopardy because of automation. 11 million jobs, you can't even get your mind around those numbers. And what are those 11 million people going to do? I'm not just talking maritime, I'm talking about everything. They're talking about automated lorries now. I believe they're testing automated lorries on the UK roads and probably elsewhere in the world. And you just wonder what that means for lorry drivers. And so it goes on and so it goes on. We've got a couple of questions. Take a couple of questions.
Can I just answer?
John, sure.
I'd just like to answer to you, and I'm in full agreement with your comments there, because quite frankly, where are we going with this? Automating everything that we do, we may as well wipe out the human race in the end and just say, what's the point in having people on the planet? You know, the planet can survive automatically without us. I think that, by all means, automated ships is very useful in situations where it's very high risk areas, as you said, in warfare or something like that. But we need jobs, people need employment, and economies need to work that way. And I think talking about what you were about surveyors and no longer having surveyors that have been to sea, I think we talked this morning about how training schemes will bring surveyors through where they serve an apprenticeship at sea, or in the yacht small craft industry where they've served time at sea on their types of vessels. I think it's a very important aspect. I don't come from a large ship area, but I come from a yacht and small craft area, and I've served my time at sea in doing that.
Jeffrey, let's hear from you.
A couple of things. First of all, I'd like to say I agree with Phil and John that Carol's lecture was worth the money for the whole thing and on its right.
Thank you.
Second thing is, if you want to see the effect of a new technology, all you've got to do is look outside here and see what has happened to the London docks with the arrival of the container. 20 years ago, those docks were full of ships. There's not a sign of a ship now, nowhere. As far as the automation is concerned, I was saying to my friend here, about 50 years ago, there was a mad rush of the idea that all merchant ships would be driven by atomic-powered engines. That rose up very quickly and equally quickly disappeared. I have the horrible suspicion that this automated business will do exactly the same. I may be wrong.
Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Let's just take one more from the audience, and I want to come back to the panel.
Sorry, I do apologise.
James.
I think in this August model, we may have missed something. And that is, not no judgment at all, but I would bet, my next cup of coffee, that not everybody in this room can operate a Zeus Aces Skyhook powered 12-meter boat. And if we can't operate it, how can we morally inspect it?
Yeah.
When you hit the skyhook button, and we've done that, you're no longer driving the boat. It's being driven by satellites. It can't get any more autonomous than that.
Can I just, and I think that was a really important point that you made. Remember that, of course, we're not necessarily saying that every vessel, and I'm not advocating or taking a view, but we're not saying that every vessel is going to be autonomous. You know, things like cruise ships. I mean, everybody wants to be on the captain's table. Goodness me, you know, there's going to be employment there. So I think there's still going to be opportunities for people to go to sea in a bright new future. I suppose from an institute's point of view, it's a bit like the analogy of a surfer. You know a wave is coming. You can do one or two things. You can get your surfboard in the right position and ride that wave, or you can get dumped in the sand. And my view is we should probably be the cool dudes as opposed to the ones who get dumped, if this is the wave that's coming.
I think we'd all agree with that. So, do you want to say something?
Yeah. Just an analogy of what has actually happened with autonomous. The motorcycle was invented, but the cycle is still here.
Well, the radio and the TV, and so it goes on.
Yes, but the sailboats were dreaded to be extinct when the motorboat was invented, but we still have sailboats. I don't think human beings are going to disappear from ships. There may be some autonomous ships in some segments, maybe at some routes, but you can't have an autonomous ship going down Singapore Straits. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Or down the English Channel.
Time is pressing. I'm going to take one from Drew and then a comment from Bertrand, and then I want one final comment from the panel.
I just want to offer the voice of hope. I grew up in Aberdeen, the oil circus, and they were saying that when ROV going to come to North Sea, there will be no more deep sea divers. Go and see, they still there. You can only replace as much technology, millions of dollars on a daily basis in the oil industry, which comes right, left, and center. You won't replace a human being. We can talk about the ships. We can talk in some minimum aspects. If you can make it safe, go for it. But you won't replace a human being.
Thank you, Drew. And Bertrand, a comment from you? Hang on, there's a microphone coming for you.
I will follow the Adam's opinion.
I have a funny suggestion for next year. Please invite a cruise manager to talk about his opinion, his view of the future big cruise autonomous line.
Okay.
It would be funny.
I want to come back to the panel. I have one final question, and then I'm going to invite Adam just to wrap things up, and then I'll say just a couple of words at the end, and then we need to be out of here in 5 minutes. So my final question for you is, this is being videoed, so hello to those of you who are watching this on video. So my final question to the panel is, what would you like to say about the 25th anniversary conference, awards and gala dinner to the hundreds who will watch this on video?
You missed a great night.
As simple as that, John.
Yep. It was a great night, and I think we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. And hopefully it's not before time, but on behalf of the board and everybody, I think a big thanks should be said to Mike for the amount of organisation that has gone into this whole event. I think Mike's done a lot of recognition of a lot of people who've been involved in the IIMS over the last 25 years, but nothing's been said about you.
Thank you, John.
So just thank you.
I had a great time yesterday and today. It's been good fun. It's an opportunity to, some people you see each year, it's getting ridiculous. You only see them once a year. Maybe this Zoom thing, we can see each other a bit more often. I have just got one thing to say, and if it's me that's got to do it next year, we need to get something from the small craft group presentation. 50% of, just about 50% of the members of the IIMS are in the small craft group. So maybe we should have I'm sure we can dredge something together that people would find vaguely interesting.
I will just retort back to you, because this is something we debate at management level regularly. And again, I'm talking to the video, small craft surveyors, you must come and support these events. If I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. If I filled the conference with 2 days of small craft, we still, I don't believe, would get them to come to London. And I'm not sure why that is. We need to debate that internally. That's not for now. I wholeheartedly agree. Adam?
Great series of venues, great series of speakers. I have a things to do list. I met people that I'd seen their names. I've met people whose names I didn't know. I'm going back to work inspired, frankly. And if you can get along to one of these conferences, it's worth far more than you could actually pay for it.
For me, yesterday was absolutely fantastic. The historic venue, the spread was fantastic. Rubbing shoulders with seniors, those who've done the same thing we've done in different ways. I always come back and ask so many questions. My mentors are sitting here, but I go back with clearing a lot of cobwebs. And in our day-to-day life, we can never put our hands in our hats and say that it's done perfectly well. There's always something behind that leaves our mind saying that this job could have been done better, or that trouble I was in, or that client who questioned it that way, or asked me about that report could have been answered in a better way. And all those answers are found when I'm talking to people here, and I think it's invaluable. If you cannot spend 2 or 3 days every year to come across and meet senior people and colleagues from around the world, to ask them how do they do it in their region and take that back, I think you're just lesser in knowledge or just too high-headed to think that you're doing the best job in your particular little region and you don't need to interact with international people. It is a people's business, it is international, and if you don't come around and meet peers and learn from them, I think you're losing some important part of the professional development. That was for me for the last few years, I'd say over 15 that I've been attending these conferences regularly. Those who are not coming and sitting watching this, try doing it once. If you don't like it, you can call us and tell us that we're the biggest idiots who come in every year.
It's been what they call the money back guarantees. If you don't like it, you can have your
Underwritten
money
by
back.
Constellation.
That's the warranty that comes along with this conference.
Okay, so Alan, before I say a few closing words, would you like to say a few closing words as President?
Look, very, very briefly, and John touched on it, I think the organisation of this conference has been absolutely superb. So on behalf of all the members, I'd like to thank you and your team. It was great meeting a lot of your team. They're a great bunch. So if you could all join me in a round of applause, I think well deserved.
Thank you for those kind words. We do enjoy doing this. I mean, it's tough, you know, it isn't easy. And finding venues, you know, I could write a book on how hard it is to find venues. And you come to London, and I tell you this actually, you might want to edit this out, Mr. Videographer, but the first venue I came and looked at was the London Transport Museum, which you may or may not know, it's in Covent Garden. Fabulous location. I thought we could all get on old trams and have great fun, you know, wonderful, wonderful venue. And we got talking, I said, have you got the date? And they said, oh yeah, we've got the date. And I said, okay, so let's talk costs then. How much a head is dinner? £275 a head for dinner, sir. Oh, okay, and what about the hire of the venue? Oh, it's only £25,000 for the hire of the venue for one night. And I said, thank you very much, and I'll move on. So, you know, finding good venues is one thing, finding venues at a price we can afford is important, because if I said to you, it's £1,200 for a 2-day conference, nobody would come. So we've got to keep the price. It's a constant balancing act, and it does take ages to do, but it is good fun to do, utterly rewarding. I'm completely spent now. So all I want to say is thank you very much for being here. Will help us all. We need to get out of the room. Just travel safely wherever you want to. Stay in touch with head office. We love hearing from you. You know, this is a two-way street. It's not us pumping out stuff to you all the time. We want to hear from you. Come to India, some of you. I hope some of you will come to India on the 5th of October. And one or two of you might end up in James. I think we're going to Baltimore in December, hopefully. So there's a couple more opportunities this year. We've got a couple of small craft training days still to do. Thank you very much indeed. Take care and goodbye.